The blending of faith and patriotism in America presents a complex tapestry. It often becomes difficult to discern where one truly ends and the other begins. This intricate relationship forms the bedrock of our inquiry. Our central question is whether Christian nationalism stands as a threat or a shield for the United States. Some frame it as protecting America's foundational heritage. Others see it as a profound reshaping of democratic principles. It is also presented as a return to America's spiritual roots. Conversely, some view it as a political ideology merely wearing religious clothing. These divergent perspectives highlight the depth of the debate. Our purpose here is to embark on an exploration. We aim to ask the hard questions America is currently wrestling with. This endeavor is not to influence, but to critically examine history, scripture, politics, and national identity. We must ask, what does Christian nation truly mean in this context? Furthermore, who ultimately gets to decide its definitive meaning? These foundational questions guide our journey. It is crucial to establish a key distinction from the outset. Christian nationalism is not synonymous with simply being a Christian. Millions of individuals practice Christianity devoutly without subscribing to this specific ideology. The core belief of Christian nationalism posits that America was founded explicitly as a Christian nation. Consequently, its laws, culture, and political identity should fundamentally return to Christian principles. This belief underpins its entire framework. This perspective immediately raises a series of complex questions. Whose specific version of Christianity applies in this vision? Which particular doctrines should be adopted as national tenets? Furthermore, which existing freedoms would remain untouched and which would inevitably change? Perhaps most profoundly, does mixing political power with faith genuinely strengthen belief, or does it ultimately corrupt it? These are not simple inquiries. Supporters of Christian nationalism often ground their arguments in Scripture. They frequently cite verses such as Psalm 33:12, which declares, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." This verse is used to advocate for a nation dedicated to God. Critics, however, offer a contrasting scriptural argument. They point to Jesus' words in John 18:36, stating, "My kingdom is not of this world." This passage is interpreted to advocate for a spiritual kingdom separate from earthly politics. This leads to a significant debate on the application of these principles. Which of these principles, if either, truly applies to the governance of a nation? How should we interpret the Great Commission found in Matthew 28? Did Jesus advocate for discipling individual people or for discipling entire governments? Is Christianity primarily meant to influence the human heart, or is its ultimate aim to shape the state itself? These are profound theological considerations. Our stance here remains neutral in this scriptural debate. We are raising these questions for consideration, not claiming to provide definitive answers. The interpretations themselves are part of the ongoing discussion. The core historical question at the heart of this discussion is fundamental. Was America truly founded as a Christian nation in the way Christian nationalists assert? The historical record presents a complex picture. It is undeniable that some of the nation's founders referenced God in their writings and speeches. However, many others heavily emphasized Enlightenment ideas, reason, and secular governance. The intellectual currents were diverse. Notably, the Constitution itself, the supreme law of the land, conspicuously avoids referencing a deity. This omission is often highlighted by those who argue for a secular foundation. The historical complexity is undeniable. This historical narrative becomes a significant battlefield for contemporary arguments. Is Christian nationalism genuinely recovering a forgotten heritage, or is it perhaps engaged in a process of rewriting history to fit a modern agenda? The past is not merely a collection of facts, it is often a contested terrain. How we interpret the founding era profoundly impacts our understanding of America's present and future. This historical lens is critical. Supporters of Christian nationalism articulate a clear viewpoint. They believe it protects the moral foundations of the nation. They see it as a necessary bulwark against perceived cultural decline. They advocate for the defense of traditional values, which they believe are under assault. For them, Christian nationalism keeps America grounded in its essential faith. This perspective is rooted in deep conviction. A significant concern for supporters is that removing Christianity from public life feels like removing a national pillar. They perceive this as an erosion of what made America exceptional. This sentiment is powerful. They pose a compelling question. If faith demonstrably shaped America's beginning, why should it not continue to guide its future? This question encapsulates their core argument for continuity. Critics conversely issue stark warnings. They argue that Christian nationalism blurs the essential separation of church and state. This blurring, they contend, threatens the very fabric of religious freedom for all. They warn that such an ideology inherently excludes non-Christians from full participation in national life. It risks merging theology with political power, a combination historically fraught with peril. This is a serious concern. A central worry for critics is the potential weakening of democracy. If one particular religion gains political authority, does it not inevitably diminish the democratic experience for everyone else? This question probes the heart of pluralism. America today is undeniably in a state of flux. It is changing culturally, politically, and generationally at an accelerated pace. This environment of uncertainty often gives rise to new movements. In times of profound change, movements offering clear identity and purpose often grow stronger. Christian nationalism can be seen as one such movement, providing a sense of belonging and direction. This dynamic is observable. We must therefore consider the nature of Christian nationalism in its contemporary form. Is it primarily a stabilizing force offering an anchor in turbulent times? Or is it a reaction to change, fueled by underlying fears? Is it a genuine spiritual revival, seeking to deepen faith and moral conviction? Or is it fundamentally a political movement, strategically employing spiritual symbols and language? These distinctions are vital for understanding its impact. The answers to these questions are not simple. They require careful discernment and an examination of both stated intentions and practical outcomes. The current relevance of this ideology cannot be overstated. Perhaps the real question we face is not simply whether Christian nationalism is inherently right or wrong. The debate may transcend such binary judgments. It points to more fundamental societal questions. Can a diverse nation, built on pluralism, truly hold together when one religious identity actively seeks political power? This challenges the very notion of a shared civic space. The implications are far-reaching. Can America, as a distinct entity, survive and thrive without the Christian identity that undeniably shaped much of its early history? This question delves into the nation's foundational narrative and its evolving character. It is a profound inquiry. We offer no definitive answers in this exploration. Our purpose has been to illuminate the complexities and the profound questions. This is a conversation America can no longer afford to avoid. The ongoing debate around Christian nationalism is not merely academic. It is a question actively shaping America's future, its identity, and indeed the very nature of its faith. The stakes are undeniably high. This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. Subscribe, share, and join the search for truth.